Hey, thank you for clicking on my video. Just go ahead right now and click the thumbs up or thumbs down button. So what did Amazon buy? Quote, we have the rights solely to the Fellowship of the Ring, the Two Towers, the Return of the King, the Appendices, and the Hobbit. Payne says, quote, and that is it. We do not have the rights to the Silmarillion, Unfinished Tales, the History of Middle-earth, or any of those other books. End quote. That takes a huge chunk of lore off the table and has left Tolkien fans wondering how this duo plans to tell a Second Age story without access to those materials. Quote, there's a version of everything we need for the Second Age in the books we have the rights to, McKay says. Just to get the rights, they spent $250 million. To the books that they actually got, they spent $250 million. Actually, I'm sorry, they bid in an auction behind the scenes. You might not know this. And they won it with a bid of $250 million. They're allowed to use the title Lord of the Rings. However, they do not have the rights to the actual lore books. Now, they have a smattering of sentences in those books. Like when Elrond is talking to the council, he mentions this is what went on. When Gandalf is talking about the ring to both Frodo and Bilbo, since they have both Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, he mentions the story of what happened concerning the ring, but that does not get you the Second Age. What I don't understand is, why did they settle on the Second Age? If they don't have the actual stuff, and they are told they do not have the rights, they do not have the rights to say Hobbit or something like that. Something about they don't have the right to say Hobbit. There's something about what they can and can't call stuff. And this is why they said distinguished Harfoot, that they could Harfoot is a type of hobbit. It's like literally like saying somebody who's from the South. That's it. That's what Harfoot means. It's a type of hobbit. So them, and this is the distinction, right? So they're trying to make a distinction, and they're trying to say, okay, well, we can't say hobbit, so we're going to go with Harfoot, which I don't understand how that legally gets around saying hobbit or even having a hobbit in the show. And I guess this is why the hobbits in the show do not look like hobbits. Peter Jackson spent tons of effort to get normal, proportionate people that looks like normal, like I'm saying normal, meaning they were not dwarves. The actual real life, what we call midgets or dwarves or whatever. He did not want that. He wanted proportionate people. So he wanted really short people in the wide shots from behind. So he spent tons of effort to shoot them from behind to make sure that we understood that they were tiny people, right? And then he did all of this stuff with perspectives to make Gandalf look, 6'5", and the Hobbit looking, like 2.5 feet, and then the dwarves looking like 3 feet, right? So he did all these perspective shots. You can see it in all over the stuff. Okay, now, so they did not do that. They have regular looking people playing quote unquote Harfoots. So because of what they can and can't do, they came up with a show based on pure script, writing imagination of what the fantasy world would be like, based on being able to use the title Lord of the Rings for their marketing. They couldn't say Lord of the Rings the Second Age. They couldn't say Lord of the Rings the Silmarillion. They couldn't say, right? So all they're trying to set their show into that setting. They can't say that setting. So all they can say is Lord of the Rings. And what they chose to do was create a feminist, Marxist, homosexual identity politics script. Now, because they have the right to use the title Lord of the Rings, they have spent over $1 billion on the project. They also put $50 million per episode, which puts them in the top 10 most expensive of all time. The problem is there's people like me, and people better than I am, a lot of you might not know this, who do game development, who do 3D modeling, who do world building, who do 3D art environmental art, perfect lighting. So people in their basement, as people, I would love to insult people in basements. I don't know what's wrong with a basement. I'm not in a basement. I don't have a basement. I live in Vegas. You can't have a basement unless you dynamite the ground. You can't. You cannot dig up a basement here. I think you would need, like, one of those big rigs that cost $30,000 just to do the project to actually dig a basement, and most people aren't willing to do all of that just for a basement. And then you have to pay for the labor. I have no idea what I'm talking about, and I have no idea if $30,000 is really expensive or really cheap. But $30,000 to dig a hole seems like a lot of money to me. So what I was trying to say is there's people in their basement who can produce Hollywood level, and I don't mean like B level. I'm talking AAA movie quality in their basement on their computer. And some people can produce it on a computer that isn't all that powerful. It's just the raw talent versus the stuff. So Unreal Engine, as you know, they produced Mandalorian using Unreal Engine in a complete LCD surround monitor thing. And this is how they're filming stuff like that. I am not capable of doing that currently, so I'm just still learning Unreal Engine, and I'm a noob, but there are people who I talk to who do that sort of thing, and the reviews have come in and said that there is no way that they spent $50 million, but the bottom line says $50 million an episode. Now, there's people who say, oh, it looks really pretty, but there's people who can actually make pretty stuff who go, that does not look like $50 million. If you paid me $50 million, it would look amazing. And when they say amazing, they mean photorealistic, perfect lighting. It would look like you were in the actual Shire or Gondor or wherever, right? I have friends who I talk to who put out pictures of stuff that they're working on, and I give them a compliment every time because it just looks just fantastic, just out of this world fantastic. Now, here's the problem. The streaming service has financially put all of their eggs into one basket. Now, so Amazon is the top company, right? That's Amazon. That's the top company. We're not talking about Amazon. Amazon's at this point is like Trump. Amazon is just putting their name on it. Technically they own it, but they're just putting their name on it. The company that's actually producing this and the streaming service and all this stuff is something like 4 companies down, right? So if I say this company is going to go out of business, I'm not talking about Amazon. Just so you understand corporate structure, that we're talking about stuff that's this company bought this company, and that company bought that company, and that company created this company, and boom, they said, and now we have a streaming service, right? I don't know the name of it. I'm just winging this off of the information that I've gotten with all of the 100+ hours of watching all this terrible stuff. The streaming service put all of their eggs in one basket. They're not going to make their money, and it's going to destroy their business. Whatever this company is called, like I said, it's 4 companies down from Amazon. It's not Amazon. Amazon, I don't think could ever go out of business. They would, I believe at this point, Amazon would just have to be bored of making money and just, okay, we're tired of making so much money, we're going to close, right? That would be the only case that I could see of Amazon going out of business, right? So, but this company is not Amazon. This company put all of their eggs in the basket, and financially speaking, from a speech that I heard talking financially specifically on this, they are not going to be able to make their money back. They're not going to be able to actually generate $50 million an episode, and they're definitely not going to be able to generate $1 billion. $1 billion is a lot of money. So it comes down to, will the project succeed beyond all of the wildest imaginations of the people who actually made the project? And there were already cancellations of stuff that was going on with the filming of the project and creating. So the contract is for 5 years, right? And they were building stuff, and then they stopped building stuff, which was a very scary thing. And I have not heard any update on that part of that portion of it. Here's the problem. Lately, there has been a backlash against feminism in general, right? We're talking about in general. And identity politics in general, nationwide, and business. We're talking business. We're not talking about, I don't know. It might be in schools too, but we're talking about just business. I'm just concerned about the business aspect of it. Regular audiences, families, and actual fans of the various things have stopped watching third wave feminist and identity politics oriented propaganda. Quote unquote movies, quote unquote TV shows, quote unquote commercials, magazines, new stuff, social media, right? They've said enough is enough. The pendulum has swung, is swinging back to the right. It hasn't even gone into the center yet, but people are canceling things. The movie Batgirl, which was fully filmed, acted, recorded, and was literally in the editing room, was scrapped. They are not going to release it. And now we have information today that the actress who played the Batgirl was pleading for them to generate some sort of grassroots efforts to ask them to release Batgirl. She's trying to generate support to release Batgirl, and then the company said no. As the studio knew it would not make money, right? Other streaming services have removed female-only, feminist, and other such stuff off of the shelves of their, you can't watch it. And I believe I'm saying that incorrectly. It's not that you can't watch it. Nobody was watching it. So they canceled that stuff and then put out a memorandum that said, we will no longer be accepting female-only, feminist, identity politics, homosexual stuff. We will not be airing that sort of stuff. This project, which is basically just the ability to use the title Lord of the Rings, is going to fail because it has nothing to do, first of all, with Lord of the Rings, and its failure is going to be spectacular because we're talking about $1 billion, $50 million per episode that is going to financially bankrupt the streaming service. The company is also banking on the fact that the grandson of Tolkien is a paid staff member in the service of being an advisor to the show. And he rubber stamps everything. But someone has to point out that he is being paid lots of money. And he is not going to jeopardize that, no matter what. So they say, we have the grandson of Tolkien on our staff. And he approves everything. And he likes everything. I don't think they said like. But he approves everything. I don't know if he likes everything. They fired a Lord of the Rings expert almost immediately who said that what they were filming has nothing to do with the Lord of the Rings. He didn't say, I don't like feminism. He didn't say, I don't like identity politics. He said, what you are filming has nothing to do with Lord of the Rings. It just doesn't. Finally, they contracted out for 5 years. Well, some of the reviews are in and they are not good. And we're getting some reports about the actual actors. Now, of course, the actors are sent out to do marketing for the stuff so that you could see that people who have content, like if I wanted to invite them on, it would be content for my channel to have the actors come onto my channel and talk to them, and then the actors would be allowed to say whatever. And of course, the whole idea is to just market the show, right? Well, we're getting information from the actors that the lead actress, which a lot of the reviews are now saying is the only person the show's about. It is not about the Lord of the Rings or the Fellowship of the Rings. It's not about a fellowship. It's not about a group. It's not about a team. It's about this woman that you see on the cover of all of the stuff. That is supposedly Galadriel, but the Lord of the Rings expert said she's not Galadriel, and whatever you're filming has nothing to do with Lord of the Rings. That's not Galadriel. They put her in full plate armor with a two-handed sword. Okay, so the information that we're just now receiving is that the actress herself is having health issues and had to take all sorts of mental breaks because what they were having her do was to act like a man. And in so doing, and that doesn't say anything, right? In so doing, what they were having her do was act out very violent scenes. Now, if you have been paying attention, when they actually put women on the front line as a part of to see how women would react, a lot of the women came up with injuries and overly so, as if they absorbed injuries, mental breakdowns, right? You understand? That the women are not built for that. Same thing in the Scarlett Johansson movie Black Widow. The person that they were trying to make the enemy or the bad guy turns out to be a bad girl. But what they did was they had to superimpose her body over the actual actor, which was a man, because a woman could not actually handle the stuff that was actually in the movie. And I do not believe Scarlett Johansson does any of her stunt work, right? So I believe Scarlett Johansson shows up and looks pretty. And that's basically how she acts. So she does all the stuff where she's pretty. And all of the violent stuff, all the action stuff is actually two guys going at it. So we have this woman and this Lord of the Rings coming out and saying, I had to go get therapy and go to the hospital because I could not handle the actual action stuff that was happening in the Lord of the Rings. Now, that on the movie sets that I was on, they were very concerned about the health of the actors. So I don't know what is going on that the actress would say, hey, you know what? I need a mental break. Hey, I need to go to the hospital. I need a health break. And the people not say, we need to do rewrites. Right? Can I get an amen? That doesn't seem... And I know she's not actually wearing plate mail. Oh, also another thing that people were saying that the costumes were very cheap. To say this is $50 million per episode, the costumes are very cheap. So all I was going to say, I know she's not wearing plate mail, but she's wearing something that simulates looking plate mail. But even still, the simulation was too much for her, right? Some of the reviews are coming in, and they are not good. This means the streaming company is going to go bankrupt based on just the financial reality of the situation. But the good news is the Tolkien estate did not sell the actual rights to all of the Lord of the Rings, so nor the other books themselves. someone else can still come and make movies and TV shows properly on the actual books, the Silmarillion, and all that sort of stuff, right? And not just have rights to use the title. It is unfortunate that this project decided to go the feminist route. They even are set on insulting the millions of fans. Now, let's talk about the fans. The Lord of the Rings is translated in something in over like 250 languages. So when the people say, you fans, they are not understanding how gigantic a fandom we're talking about. And we're talking about people are experts in the Lord of the Rings. Just to give you a clue as to what the Lord of the Rings actually is, Tolkien, an English professor, was trying to create the Iliad and the Odyssey, but for England. He was trying to create a mythos surrounding England. Do you get it? So when people say, we're going to change all of that and make it for... No, then you're not doing Lord of the Rings. It's not just a fantasy. It's a whole thing it's connected to the actual place that it came from. The author did this on purpose. He didn't write some fantasy novel. Let me tell you this. Every single race in the book is actually mirrored in real life. The dwarves are a certain people. The elves are a certain people. The race of men are a certain people, and they're black. There's a whole black race in the Lord of the Rings. They're in the South. If you know that Lord of the Rings is based on England, who's south of England? That's black. There's a whole continent full of us, right? So this whole idea that you're doing something by putting somebody black in Lord of the Rings is ridiculous. You didn't study Lord of the Rings. You have no idea what Lord of the Rings is about. There's a whole continent full of people who are black in Lord of the Rings. Now, a lot of the actresses and actors come on and say, we're the first black dwarf. We're the first female dwarf. We're the first black elf. No, you're not. They're not the first of any of that stuff. So their claim to fame that we're the first of this, no, you're not. You don't know anything about fantasy. You don't know anything about sci-fi. You're not even a top 100 female dwarves, black elves. You're just not. There is nothing in this Lord of the Rings project that is a first. Because if you watch fantasy, you've already seen first of all, you've already seen black everything. You've already seen female everything. You've already seen it. Now, are you the first black female dwarf in a show that paid $50 million per episode? Yes, you are. But you know what? You might be the first human or anything actress in a show where they paid $50 million per episode and the whole project is $1 billion. You might be the first. So no, you don't get you're not a first of anything. You don't know your fantasy. That's the whole problem with the project. You don't know your fantasy. You don't know your sci-fi. You don't know it. And some of the staff members and writers hate Tolkien, hate Lord of the Rings, hate Peter Jackson, hate the movies, hate everything about it. So why are you on the project? Why would you go on this project? Because you're getting paid. There are at any point in time about 10,000 projects going on in Hollywood every month. And I mean brand new every month. Saying that you did it for the money and that there was no other project that you could do that you actually like the subject matter, I don't think you're telling the truth. There's no reason for somebody who legitimately hates something to be a part of the project. You're going to sabotage the project. And I believe that there is this big, huge divide of the people, the higher ups, and they don't know who they hired. To add insult to injury, one of the top reviewers, which is a woman, said she did not like the project at all, and she saw the show. She saw the first episode, and she did not like it. First, like I keep saying, the episode is about this woman in full plate mail armor, and she said she didn't like her. She is a female reviewer. So there you have it. In other news, the Game of Thrones sequel is also showing, and it's eating this for lunch, and they're going crazy that people are watching. There is literally 100 times more interest. They did polling and the review and stuff, and there's 100 times more interest in it. Thank y'all for watching.